Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. This is going to be a fast-paced one. I like to go at a good clip and keep you guys awake in the afternoon or wherever you're. Actually, could be in the West Coast. It's still morning. Thanks for coming. We're going to focus on how to choose the right CRM for your nonprofits. A lot of questions that get posed during this presentation. So don't worry, we're going to share the slides. You'll get the questions afterwards. You get the tools that we share. Think about the questions as we're going through the process. All right, so who am I? My name is Dave Martin. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at CharityEngine. I'm not a sales guy, so I'm not going to be selling you. I do have 2 slides about who we are, so I'll keep it short. I am a bit of a unicorn in the sense that I've worked on the nonprofit side and I've worked on the software side, and I used to host a podcast called Marketers Drinking Beer. And we did drink beer on it and an occasional bourbon. But my association work, which is like the cousins of the fundraising organizations, and many associations do fundraising, just clues me into what it's like to work at a nonprofit. And I understand that very well. This is me and my family when it was nice in the summer. And these are the only two that get excited when I come home anymore. Bandit's the little one and Sugar's the other. But they welcome me home every day. So that's me. That was quick. When you guys are going through a process, you're probably dealing with many common pain points, like poor support from your vendor, the vendor finger pointing. It's not me, it's the other guy. They're going to take care of it. Being treated like a number, having to deal with juggling multiple systems and multiple logins and remembering them all. Importing, exporting data, being in a spreadsheet nightmare. There are tons of common pain points. And we recognize that as a software provider. And so it's important as you go through this process today to understand, some of those pain points that you're dealing with, how to identify them and how to evaluate them so you get the right vendor for you. Right. So this is all my couple slides here on CharityEngine. So I'll be brief. A lot of you are probably dealing with duct taped tools, right? You got a bunch of different platforms that are connected together. It could look like spaghetti,
Dave, can I interrupt you? I'm so sorry. Your slides aren't moving.
They're not?
So nobody saw the picture of Bandit.
All right.
Can you try to advance them?
I'll go over here. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys.
I know. I thought you were going to say you interrupt me all the time. This is nothing new, but I just thought this would be a boring presentation if we only saw your title slide.
I'm going to try to share again. Now, do you see my title slide?
Yes.
Did it advance?
Perfect. Yep, you're good.
I don't know what I did differently there, guys. So anyway, okay, fine. You get to see some of the logos of where I worked, my family, and Sugar and Bandit. I know they're the key ones here. These were the common pain points I was talking about. They're still advancing, Julie, I assume? We good? I hope so. All right. If we're not good, just let me know. And then I got here to this duct tape tools. Many of you probably have multiple tools that are disconnected that make life difficult, and you're dealing with a lot of those common pain points. CharityEngine is an all-in-one built-in fundraising platform. So all of the tools that you would need to do fundraising are in our platform. And that goes from anything from managing your sustainers to having peer-to-peer events or auctions or advocacy efforts, or you're managing your volunteers, email marketing, marketing automation, all that type of stuff is all in one platform. So you have seamless data. And when your data is connected, your outreach becomes deeply human. And that's really critical for you guys when you do it. Okay, that's it. CharityEngine, we're done. So what are you going to learn today? Ask the right questions during the buying process. This is really what this is about, is helping you guys think through what questions do I need to ask to make sure I get the right vendor. You want to also assess your nonprofit's true CRM needs. So you want to be looking at cross departments within the organization to understand what are your must-haves and your nice-to-haves, and then preparing your team for a successful implementation of your new platform and adoption and ongoing. So those are the 3 things you're going to learn today. Peter Drucker, famous marketer, said the most serious mistakes are not being made as a result of the wrong answers. The truly dangerous thing is asking the wrong questions. So we need to be asking the right questions as we're going through this buying process to be able to evaluate your the different vendors that you're looking at. So why a perfect fit matters. Obviously, our CRM is central to all of your fundraising and the engagement with your donors. The risks of poor fit are frustration, which you might be dealing with today while you're on this webinar. You're losing data, you got issues importing data, you don't like your vendor, you feel like a number, you're losing donations, all those types of things. High cost. The rewards of a good fit are growth, greater efficiency, and the ability to fulfill the mission and why you exist. It's a commitment though, so you have to think about that too. On average, 3 to 7 years, sometimes even longer, if you have a great vendor and you're really happy with what they're providing you. And so you have to keep that in mind. Where do you start? With a mirror, look at yourself internally. What are you really looking for? Are you looking for like a CRM, just a database, right? To be able to track your donors, notes, activities, things like that. Are you looking for donation payments and payment process? Sorry, donation forms and payment processing. So being able to connect online donation forms maybe with a current system that you have in place, right? Are you looking for marketing automation to run campaigns and have smart engagement with both prospects and your donors? Are you looking for events or a shopping cart? Maybe you sell stuff on your website that helps support your mission that your donors and your prospects are interested in. And are you doing advocacy efforts? So what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for specific smaller elements, or are you looking for a broader platform, right? So that's important to start out with. So look at internal pain points. Start there in assessing the needs of your organization. Think about what takes a lot of time in our day-to-day use of the system. And if you're the main point of contact and you're running this evaluation process, it's really important to be asking these questions internally so that you can come up with a list. And we're going to share a great resource we have on a comparison matrix that'll help you get there. But a lot of these questions are part of that. So what takes too many clicks to get to? What one thing would you change? Or what 10 things would you change with your current vendor, right? You have to be listing all these things down. Where are you settling for workarounds? So start with your internal pain points in determining what type of platform that you need. Look at the users. How many users do we need? Do we have 2 users? Do we have 35 users? Do we have 15 users? Whatever it is, that can have a big impact on the type of platform and what your needs are and how complex it might need to be. How techy are your users? Do you have a database admin and a big team, or is it just a couple staff, right? Well, who will use the system and how often are they going to be using it, right? So understanding the users and the level of the users, how many you've got, will have a big impact on the platforms you should start to look at. And at the end, I'll share a blog article that we have on the top 25, where we evaluate our competitors, by the way, the top 25 vendors in the space that will be really helpful to you guys. Because what we like to do, and I'm off on a tangent, but we like to create content that is ridiculously helpful, that helps people make a buying decision. Whether you go with CharityEngine or you go with Bloomerang or you go with Neon One, whoever it is, we want to be helpful and help you make the right decision for your organization. That builds trust. So from a budget perspective, what's your ongoing monthly budget? Have a big impact on who you look at, right? Do you have budget for your initial implementation? There are usually costs around implementation. It takes time, it takes energy. So do you have budget for that? So what's your 1 year budget, year one budget versus your ongoing budget? That can be very different. And you need to be looking at this in a lifetime of 3 to 7 years, right? And then do you have budget for ongoing training? Many platforms will have an account, have online courses that you can take that help a lot with that. Sometimes organizations like to have some individual ongoing training as well. So do you have budget for that? So the questions, I'm going to do this over and over again. The questions that matter most, remember, we'll share these with you at the end. What's currently down? What systems do we need to integrate with? Because integrations are not easy, right? Like they create a lot of complexity and can be costly to do as well. They're not always the wrong thing to do. We integrate with all kinds of platforms to make it easy to do that. But do you need to integrate? Do we and can we manage integrations? How many records do we manage? How fast are we growing? What's our future growth look like? You don't want to go into a system that works for the next 2 years and then you start hitting like the upper limits of a younger, kind of smaller organization type of platform. You need to be thinking about how aggressive are we growing, and do we want to go with a platform you'll be able to stick around with, right? What kind of reports do we pull regularly? How much data do we need? What reports does the executive director need? How often, right? Like board reports and that types of thing. And so what are the must-haves versus nice-to-haves? So here's the initial start of a list of the questions that matter most. So let's start in some other sections, from wish list to workflow. That's hard to say. From wish list to workflow. What do you really need? So think about your needs by department. Interview folks internally. If it's a team of 2, it's much easier to do. If it's a team of 50 or 100 people, that gets harder to do. But you need to understand your fundraising and programs groups, marketing communications. What are their needs? Remember, must-haves and good-to-haves, or nice-to-haves. Volunteer management, finance, operations, executive level. Go by department and work with your internal folks to understand what their needs are, and do those interviews and come up with that list of questions. So when you think of the donor lifecycle, there are also needs by the lifecycle of your donor coming through, whether it's in the identify stage or engage, appeal, retain, cultivate. There are different needs that you're going to have and your organization's going to have, whether it's email and SMS initially to identify, SMS being like texting, right? Or social media. You might have membership needs, and when you're in the engage phase, you might be making phone calls. You may be doing direct mail, right? And need an integration with a mail house. Advocacy. Under appeal, you could be running events and auctions and peer-to-peer events and running text-to-give campaigns, right? So there are needs throughout the donor life cycle. This is a great one, I think, to use as you're thinking through this, of what are our needs today and then moving forward into the future. You could be a stable organization, not with a ton of growth, and that might be easier to identify your needs and ongoing, as opposed to someone that's growing pretty rapidly and you're like, I'm not sure that we're going to do these things in the future. So, but think about it from the needs of the donor life cycle. So matter most, what is it we want to track? Donations, event attendance, advocacy, email open rates and click-throughs and that type of thing. Where will automation help us? Whether it's automation from a communication series, whether it's automation of tasks within the organization, right? What processes take a lot of time but could be streamlined? We could make them easier, not too many clicks in a system. How do we fundraise and engage donors now? And how do we fundraise and engage donors in the future? What are we looking to do? And what features do we really need, right? So that's really key. And that going through that donor life cycle, I think, is a really helpful one. And understanding and interviewing your department, people in different departments within your organization, help you really identify and start to narrow down that list of vendors, right? So don't be dazzled by the demos. Have a plan. The salespeople are great. I buy software quite often for CharityEngine from a marketing perspective, and there are some great salespeople out there, right? But they sell it to you and then they hand it off to somebody else. So you want to make sure that you're evaluating effectively and strictly the platform that's being put in front of you, right? And these different vendors. So have a plan. Do your vendor research before setting up the demos, right? Look at review sites, look at their websites, look at their content and their academy, and what are the features that you need and what are the features they've got. How large of organizations does a vendor typically work with? Some are smaller end of the market, some are really high end of the market, some are in the middle, right? So do your vendor research, narrow it down to a list. You don't need a list of 12 to 15. That means you're probably not doing your research effectively enough. We hear that sometimes people come through and they're, yeah, we need a demo because we're looking at 15 different organizations. And then, they probably haven't done their research, and you have to be a little, from a vendor side, you need to be a little questioning, like these guys aren't really prepared for this process enough. So narrow down a list. You might have 5 to 6 initially, get it down to perhaps 3, and then evaluate them. Features, functionalities, user experience, support and training, data security and privacy is critical, right? Scalability of the platform, and what's the roadmap of the platform? What are they looking to do in the future? And then what's the typical implementation timeline and the process for that? Some people will say, oh yeah, we can do this in like 2 weeks. And that's really, depending on the complexity and what your needs are, 2 weeks is really, really short, right? Some might say it'll take 6 months, and then you have to think about that hard. It depends on the complexity of what you're looking to do. But implementation timeline and the process for that, if they can clarify that for you and do it extremely well during the process of evaluation, that'll help you. And then that total cost of ownership or TCO, you got to look at all of the costs. There's a monthly fee that they're gonna charge you, the vendors. But what can happen a lot of the times is that they'll hide some fees in payment processing, especially like lower end of the market, even free platforms. You're like, wow, this is amazing, it's free. But when you look at it, they're charging you like 7, 8, 9% on the payment processing side, which can get really expensive, especially if you grow quickly, right? You may outgrow a platform. So I'm not saying free platforms are bad. I'm just saying do your homework and understand, right? Because that could work perfectly for you initially, right? As you're growing the organization, and maybe you don't have as much money, right? So to pay for the monthly fees. So don't be dazzled by demos. Have a plan. What are the questions that matter? Will this system scale with us over the next 3 to 5 years? What does onboarding and training look like? How easily can I build a report or segment a list in the platform? Can I automate recurring donations, email workflows, right? Like, can you set up a welcome campaign easily once somebody becomes a donor or becomes a sustainer, right? Like, how easy is that to do? What are the payment processing rates? Like I said, devil's in the details. So next section is around rating the technology, right? So not the sales pitch. We've got a great tool. I think the link is here somewhere. It'll show up, and there's a QR code, I think, a nonprofit CRM comparison matrix that we built. And this will help you to create a matrix that reduces the subjectivity of going through the process, where maybe one person is very opinionated about X, Y, or Z, and it's making it hard to make the right decision for the organization. You can have where you build a rubric across departments. So you're rating all the same features or attributes, and you can get a weighted score. You can give weighting to certain things that are more important to you than others, right? Which can then impact an overall score and when you're doing your evaluation here. I did that when I was at the American College of Radiology. We were looking at marketing automation platforms, and we looked at 3 in the end, and it was like Marketo and HubSpot and one other. And I thought we were going to go with HubSpot. In the end, we went with Marketo because there were certain things that are important to American College of Radiology as an organization that weighted more heavily, and therefore the one platform was more important to us than another. So check that out. We'll have the link for that. Well, it's right here. You can do a QR code here, and we're going to share these slides so you have this afterwards. The link is buried into this, so you'll be able to click through. Debrief after every demo. Understand what the team is thinking. Questions that matter. How well does the CRM handle our core use cases? What do we need a system to do for us? What are our biggest challenges? Are they addressing your biggest challenges when you're going through a buying process? Or are they just vomiting up a bunch of features to you and making it harder for you to make the evaluation? So what are your core use cases? And I would add to that, what are your biggest challenges, and how does the platform solve those big challenges? Does it feel intuitive, right? Does it feel easy to use, right? Systems can get complex. If it's super easy to use and there aren't a lot of features to it, that might work fine for you. but sometimes when you're adding features, it can get a little bit more complex, and you need to be able to say, is it still intuitive for me to use this platform? How easy was it to build a report? Were there any concerns that the team brought up during the demo that did they get addressed by the salesperson on the other side or the sales engineer that might be supporting that person? All right, let's get into data migration. I got to chug along here because this is about 30 minutes. I don't even know what slide number I'm on. I'm about halfway through, I think, maybe a little bit more, but I got started a little slowly. Data migration. It's a huge flashpoint, right? So inform yourself. This is a really area where organizations can trip themselves up easily, right? So inventory all of your data sources, right? Current CRM, Excelis, your email platform, possibly if you're using a separate one, event tools, the payment processors, right? Understand all the data sources coming in, audit data quality and cleanliness. If you're bringing in garbage into the system, you're going to get garbage out of it. When I was at the Electronic Retailing Association, we moved to a new CRM, and we went from like 40,000 records. I was like, wow, I got all these people I can do outreach to. And when we cleaned up our database before we brought it in, we were down at like 7,500. But we had good data and good information going in. So it's really important to make sure that your data is clean and there's good quality to it. Look at, how much history do you really need? Some organizations need to go way back, and I get that, and there are reasons for that, right? But that does make the data migration process, and it can make it more complex. So think hard about how much data do you really need to bring in, right? Versus what's going to be useful. Do you need to go back 20 years, for example, or do you need to go back 5 years? That can increase the cost too. The higher the amount, the larger amount of data can increase the cost of the implementation. Map out your workflows and integrations, document how that data flows today. Having like a tech stack document with the different software that you're using and how they're connected can help your vendor when they're bringing data in, right? So that's really important. And, make sure you're assigning internal roles. It makes it much easier for the vendors to know who the clear decision makers are. And then you got to have a little bit of downtime for cutover. Obviously, you're not going to do it on Giving Tuesday, which is coming up here pretty soon. But decide on some data freeze dates to make sure that data migration can be as smooth as possible. Because it can go well. Just make sure that you're doing your job and your homework. Questions that matter most. What's the process for migrating data? You want to get that answered. How do they do it from one system to the new system? How long does it typically take? What tasks do we own? This is important versus what tasks does the vendor's team own, right? Because you're going to be doing some stuff. They're going to be doing some stuff. And make sure you got a project plan, a spreadsheet, all that stuff down. Do you offer an automated tool for data migration, right? Is there some kind of tool the vendor has that they've built over time because they do this all the time with bringing on new customers? Are there white glove services to help you through the process if you wanted to have that, right? So very important. Do you support dedupe rules during the import? Or is that on you as the organization in beforehand, cleaning up your data? Again, that garbage in, garbage out. You don't want to bring in huge sets of duplicates like I had at the Electronic Retailing Association. How is scope creep handled if we discover extra data, right? Or integrations mid-project that we had forgotten about? How do you manage that? How does the vendor manage that, right? You need to ask them these questions. Why not ask the salesperson to meet somebody from the team that's going to be doing the implementation before you make a decision? Because they're going to hand it off to that team. I would ask, hey, can we meet with them and ask them some questions? What happens if you're not ready by go live date? What's their process, and how do they manage that? So those are the questions that matter most. Shake up the vendors. Ask the normal questions, but throw in some zingers. Julie likes the word zingers, so we had to put in the word zinger there. That no one thinks to ask. What percentage of your clients are nonprofits? What percentage of them are in our specific industry, our vertical, right? Like if you're food banks, or if you're an environmental organization or veteran services organization, right? Like what percentage of your clients you have that you're supporting already, so you understand the typical needs, right, of that type of client. You may not want to be the first one in any specific vertical. What happens when something breaks on a weekend? I'd like to see them answer that question. Who owns the data, and how do you export it if you leave the platform? Can we test drive with real data in a sandbox? That can get kind of complex sometimes, but you might want to go through that process. What's your monthly giving retention rate? That's just a random question that we put in there, but if you have sustainers, monthly donors, right? What is the retention rate, the revenue retention rate of the vendor with their typical customers that have monthly donors? The average in the industry average is like 70 to 80%. CharityEngine, we guarantee 90%. This is one of our really good, it's a secret sauce of ours. And that's the only thing I'll say about CharityEngine. We rock when it comes to sustainers. So if you all ask for sustainers, make sure you understand that you could lose a lot of revenue if they're not good enough in managing your ongoing donors, especially if credit cards change, right, or get lost, that type of stuff. What's your roadmap for the next few years? How do you prioritize features? What kind of input would we have on features, right? Like, are we just a number and ever you can't give any input, or do you have ideas for how to make this system better? And what percentage of the features that come out are based on customer input? That's a great question to ask, right? So then that means that they're listening to you and getting ideas from their own customer base to make the platform better. Right. Winning hearts, minds, and budgets, the dreaded internal buy-in. Yikes. That is not easy. And if you're in that role, you'll do fine if you organize yourself, do your homework, ask a lot of these questions, right? You'll be fine, and help the team to get the buy-in and have a methodical process to your evaluation, right? So involve stakeholders early, right? Get everybody on board early and give them the opportunity to have input, right? Getting and giving input will increase your buy-in 100%. Use a scoring rubric. Explain why the change is needed. Reassure staff about data migration, because I know it's a pain point, and we hear that all the time. It's like, people roll their eyes. Data migration and getting data into the new system. Change management is really what this is about. So you might want to spend a little bit of time learning about change management. Ask ChatGPT about change management for buying a new fundraising platform and what you should be doing. You probably get some great ideas. I just thought about that right now. But this is all about change management, right? And going through a process that'll take you 2, 3, 4, 6 months, right? Questions that matter most. Who needs to be in the room for final decisions? That's huge. How will we measure success after we go live? How we communicate the change to our team, right? Those are some big ones. And remember, your CRM is never done, right? So you have to regularly review your system. Even after you've gone live and everybody's happy, they're like, we have the greatest system ever, and we got through the data migration stuff, we got it all set up. But you need to be able on a regular basis ask questions to make sure that the system is still supporting your needs, right? Use the vendor's learning center, academy, blog articles. Make sure you're really leveraging the platform. Often people may not learn enough about the platform before they start using it, and then get frustrated because they can't do something. Look to those academies and learning centers and that type of stuff to help you. There could be ongoing webinars that are office hours, or our product marketing manager, Maliha, does a monthly webinar for our customers on new things coming out, but then reminders of existing features and how you might be able to leverage them. So leveraging the platform and understanding it is really critical, because it's on you a little bit too, right? You've got a new platform, so spend some time learning. It's not a bad idea to schedule some demos, even if you're a year and a half into a 3-year contract, to understand what's happening out in the industry. to make sure that your technology that you're using today is kept pace. And then use data to guide your strategy. And you always want to be iterating based on data. So your CRM is never done. It's not like, okay, set it, forget it. Keep learning, understand what's out in the market, and you'll be fine. Questions that matter most. What features aren't we using yet, and why aren't we using them? So we hear that sometimes, like, okay, we didn't even know that feature was there, right? Like, so look at the platform holistically and understand, okay, there are other areas that we can be using. Maybe we're not using peer-to-peer, and that's one of the features within the platform, and we should be doing some peer-to-peer campaigns. Hey, this functionality is here, or advocacy, whatever it is, right? Sorry, I had to take a sip of water there. I'm getting a little dry. Are we using reports and data to make better decisions? How hard is it to pull reports? How many out-of-the-box reports are there in the platform, right? Are there 20? Are there 250, right? That can help you a lot. But are you using the data, especially with an all-in-one, all the data is in one place? It makes it way easier to do reporting and understand how your donors and prospects are engaging with you, right? What new team leads have emerged since we launched? You might have some new people in the organization, or somebody got promoted, right? Like, you have to make sure that your internal advocates of the platform, people using it, continue to use it, right? Are we benchmarking engagement and outcomes so we can improve engagement of our own platform? I'm talking about, not with our donors, right? So how are we able to understand use of the platform? The CRM best fit checklist for nonprofits. This is this comparison matrix I talked about. The link to it again, making it easy here for you guys. Highly recommend it. All right, I said enough about that. Lastly, if you'd like to see CharityEngine, we have a product tour. It's an online tour. You can just go and step through a couple elements of the platform if you want to see it. There's a link right here. It's charityengine.net/product-tour. You'll get these slides really quickly, and you can go in and check it out. Obviously, if you have any questions, or if you want to book a demo with CharityEngine and check us out, I highly recommend it. We'd love to help you. We love working with nonprofits and fundraising organizations, and I promise you won't be just a number if you work with CharityEngine. And get rid of those duct tape solutions. Lastly, I told you about, we have a blog article. It's one of our most the Nonprofit CRM Buyer's Guide, top 25 options for 2026. So it's refreshed recently. Julie does this all the time. She's an awesome writer. And the link is right here. So go check that out. That's our guidance on some of the vendors that are out there. Make the right decision for your organization. Remember, use a matrix, do your homework, ask the right questions. It does take time, but if you do a good job of this, you're going to be successful with your platform, and you'll make the right decision for your organization. All right. Do we have any questions? I think I'll probably stop sharing so I can see. You get to see my big head. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Have we had, hold on, I got to go all the way to the top. The rubric is awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. Isn't it, Brianna? Let's see. Have you had anyone switch from Salesforce to CharityEngine? Curious if you have a testimonial or a case study about it. Yes, we have had organizations switch from Salesforce, nonprofit, SFSD, I think it's called. I forgot the name of it, but they're specifically for nonprofit. I know that platform can be very expensive, and you always need to probably have somebody like a developer help you set it up and get ready. We do. I don't know if we have a testimonial, but we can follow up, Brianna, afterwards with you. And let's see, what else? There's a little more conversations there about that, Brianna. We just shared a bunch of sorry, guys, I'm just getting into the questions here. Just go ahead and pop any questions in here. I know there's a bunch of you on here, but it's not, sometimes people don't like to ask questions, and I get that. There's the link to, there's the us versus Salesforce. Neha, thank you for. We have a page on our website that's all about our competitors, right? And how we match up. And then there are individual articles about each one. So if you'd like to That'll help you do some research, by the way. And that's what Neha was sharing, is that there's one on Salesforce, but we also have a table where we share, again, it's Blackbaud, Bonterra, Virtuous, Bloomerang, and Salesforce, which is awesome. Helping you guys make the right decision for your organization. Would you recommend archiving versus deleting junk constituents in the database? That's a good question. Like, because I think what you're getting at there is, before you're bringing it in, you want to bring in the cleanest data possible. I'm not sure what you mean by junk constituents. If they're just bad form fills with crappy email addresses that aren't real, maybe you don't. I don't know if I would bring that into the platform. I'd try to keep it as clean as possible. But I think that's what you meant by that. And maybe you're talking about archiving versus deleting in your current database. You might want to keep them for some reason. I guess it would depend why you would need to keep it. If it's junk, like we have people that'll come and fill out our demo page form, and they'll put in like Ringo Starr or something like that, like Mickey Mouse, all kinds of, and some other ones I won't share. And typically we delete those because we don't think that they're real, right? So people haven't done it in 10 years, for example. I mean, why wouldn't you do an automation? Like, I think it'd be really interesting to do like a win-back kind of email, text, direct mail win-back series. Maybe it's just email, and do a series of like 3 or 4 emails where you're going out to people who haven't donated in 10 years and see if you can get anything from that. And if you're getting bounce back from that, then get rid of them, I would think. But you can do revival, like lead revival or donor revival campaigns, and use some automation in the platform to do that. All right. I've gone over a little bit here, so I don't see any other questions at the moment. I think that was Kara who had asked that one at the end there. I hope I answered your question. And if you guys, again, if you'd like to talk to us, check out those articles, check out the content that we shared there. The Matrix is a really good starting point for you. Remember to ask those questions and be prepared as possible. And if you'd like, check us out, CharityEngine.net. There's a big demo button. You can't miss it if you want to reach out to us, and we'll be in touch with you immediately to set something up. Okay? Oh, Neha reminded me, we are doing a promo right now. So if you do get a demo with us, you'll be entered to win a chance to win $2,500 for your nonprofit, plus a $250 cash for you. Or you can, if you can't take cash, you can put it towards your favorite nonprofit. So there's a link to book a demo there. I'm glad I remembered, Neha, because I thought I was going to forget that, and you reminded me. So check that out. You can get entered to win $2,500 for your organization. We'll make a donation to it, and $50 for you. That's all, guys, I have for today. Love doing this. Good luck in your process, and have a great day.